Okay, so in my last video about my home lab setup absolutely blew up. You guys really seem to love seeing all of my Raspberry Pi devices and servers. Well, someone at DeskPi must have watched that video too because they reached out and sent me their desktop server racks to try out. Now, before we dive in, full disclosure here, DeskPi sent me this rack for free, but they're not sponsoring this video. They didn't ask me to make this content about it, and they haven't seen this video before I'm posting it. So when the package actually arrived, the first thing I noticed was really weird. The box was completely open, no tape, no sealing, just sitting there open. I immediately thought someone had opened it during shipping and probably stolen some of the parts. But when I got home and checked everything against the part list, everything was actually still there. I reached out to my contact at DeskPi and they said they'd follow up with Amazon's warehouse about this. So hopefully this was just a one-off issue with my delivery. But once I started unboxing everything, I was really impressed with how well everything was packaged inside. And the first thing that struck me was the quality of the metal components. These rails and brackets are seriously like high quality metals. I wasn't expecting this level of premium feel from the hardware. The build process itself was pretty straightforward. They include two different screwdrivers which come in handy, and the instructions were pretty clear. One weird thing I noticed though was with the acrylic panels. They have protective film on both sides, but for some reason one side peels off super easily while the other side is incredibly difficult to remove. This was consistent throughout all acrylic parts, so I'm not sure what's happening here in their manufacturing process, but something to know. Now here's something really cool about the rack. This is actually one of the first black versions that DeskPi has made. If you've seen their previous server racks on other YouTube channels, they're all like the silver aluminum color, and while that looks pretty cool, most conventional server racks are either black or white. DeskPi actually asked if I wanted to try this new black version out that hasn't been shown on YouTube before, so of course I said yes. And honestly, this black aluminum finish looks really incredible. One thing that worried me initially was that as I was building it, if any metal touched the black surface, it would leave like these little white marks. I thought I was scratching it permanently, but when I rubbed my finger over these marks, they actually came right off. It's not the paint getting scratched, it's just temporary marks from the metal contact, so the finish is actually much more durable than I initially thought. Now let me show you what's changed since my last video. You'll notice I've got a new network switch here. The number of devices in my setup keeps growing, and this is a managed switch, which means I can create separate subnetworks. This lets me isolate my Internet of Things devices with the rest of my personal devices and the server devices, which is really important for security. Here's where things get really interesting though, and this is probably the biggest consideration if you're thinking about buying one of these racks. My situation is a little bit unique because I already had all of these devices before getting the server rack. Most people probably start with one or two devices, buy the rack, fill it out over time. But since I'm trying to fit existing devices into the accessories that come with the rack, it's getting pretty challenging. The rack comes with one plate for network switch, I believe, and another plate meant for hard drives that I'm using for my Raspberry Pis as of right now. But outside of those two accessories, there really isn't much included. If you want to properly mount your devices, you basically need a 3D print custom mounts for everything. And if you don't have a 3D printer, your setup is going to look like mine right now, with devices just kind of sitting around, not properly mounted. This is actually a pretty big limitation. Unlike full-size server racks where devices have standard widths and just slide right in with rails, this desktop rack requires custom mounting solutions for almost every device. Since people buying these smaller, more affordable racks probably don't want to spend thousands on server equipment, they also might not have access to a 3D printer. It's definitely something to plan for. I actually ordered a 3D printer specifically for this project and additional things that I want to learn about 3D printer, but it hasn't arrived yet. So you can see my devices are just scattered around the rack right now. It's functional, but not the clean, organized look I'm going for. Let me show you another modification I made. I bought an extension cord and mounted it vertically on the back to save horizontal space on the rack. I've seen other people do this with their setups. This particular extension cord almost fits perfectly. It's secure at the top, but a bit loose at the bottom. I'm planning to 3D print a little small bracket to extend the mount point so I can properly secure the bottom. I'm also going to add a second extension cord to the other side for more power distribution. Now with the rack setup, I need 1-foot cables, and for some devices that are further away, I need 3-foot cables. These cables aren't expensive individually, but they usually sell in bulk packs from Amazon, so you end up buying a bunch of extras just lying around. Actually, here's a neat hack I've been using. I have these little Ethernet couplers that connect 2 cables together. They're super cheap and let me extend shorter cables to reach further devices. They support gigabit speeds just fine, so instead of buying a whole new 3-foot cable, I can just use these to extend my existing shorter ones. So overall, I absolutely love the build quality. The metal construction feels premium and the black finish looks absolutely fantastic. The size is great for a desktop setup, though it's smidge smaller than it appears in photos. So if you have more devices than I do, definitely consider the larger model. My main criticism is around the accessories and mounting situation. If you're planning to buy one of these racks, make sure you factor in either having access to a 3D printer or budgeting for additional mounting accessories. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely something to plan for. I'm really excited for my next video where I'll show you how I 3D print custom mounts for all of my devices, properly manage all the cables, add additional power supplies, and turn this into the clean, organized server rack I'm envisioning. So if you're thinking about getting into home labbing or organizing your existing setup, I definitely recommend considering one of these racks. Just make sure you plan for the mounting situation. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.